Baseball isn't just numbers, numbers, numbers.
This game is not being played on computers.
You don't do that with a bunch of statistical gimmicks.
You don't put a team together with a computer.
We're talking weighted runs created plus,
expected WOBA,
his sweet spot rate,
defensive runs above average,
average exit velocity,
barrel rate,
xFIP,
BABIP,
SIERA.
We are above replacement radio. And welcome to Above Replacement Radio, where we're talking baseball kind of whenever. I'm your host, Chris Gianta. Over there on the other side of the screen is Daniel Curran. How you doing, Daniel?
Chris, I'm doing very well today. We had pretty chaotic weekend, I would say, out of those major leagues, obviously. I think it's crazy that we are at August 10th now, and like no division is decided. Like that, I can't remember a time where that's happened, where we get this late into the season and there's not one team that I think you can confidently say is going to win any one division. The largest division lead that anyone has is the Tigers at 6 games. They've obviously been the dominant team all year, but Cleveland is within striking range. So I think that's maybe the craziest development of this season is that pretty much every race is close.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially after one of the teams ruined baseball and made it unwatchable for 2025.
Yeah, people were saying they wanted to sacrifice an entire season for the purpose of not allowing them to ruin baseball. This team with an 84% chance to win their own division.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. The Detroit Tigers, as I mentioned, only team with above 90% odds to win their division.
Yeah.
They're at 92.4%. The Phillies are at 89.9, which is pretty funny. They're literally, they're definitely 90 after today because they won and the Mets lost. And I don't think, these odds are accounting for that, but they're probably at 90 at this moment. And then there's the Dodgers at 84. Brewers are at 78%. The Mariners actually have better odds to win the division than the Astros, despite the Astros currently leading this division. They're at 52.3%, and then there's the Blue Jays at 77.7%.
Yeah, you can't really pencil any team in. It looked like probably a few weeks ago we probably would have penciled in the Tigers, but not really the case anymore. They've had their struggles, and the Guardians have really ramped up their performance. And then yeah, there's definitely been years and years past where maybe at this point in the year, either like the Dodgers have had their division wrapped up, or those like late 2010s Cleveland teams when there wasn't really any competition in the AL Central. They would have the division wrapped up. I'm thinking of like 16, 17, 18-ish. I feel like the competition wasn't crazy. At this point, a lot of the teams that have done really well have maybe who did really well earlier in the year have kind of softened up, and then the teams who have done poorer have gotten things going as of late. It makes for some exciting, meaningful baseball. But yeah, I mentioned those Guardians.
I checked the playoff odds from this date last year. I typed in August 10th. Or August 11th, rather, 2024. The Phillies led the Braves by 7.5 games. The Brewers led the Cardinals by 7.5 games. And that was the largest lead that anyone had. But the AL East was tied at this time last year. The AL West was tied this time last year between the Astros and the Mariners. The Dodgers only led the Padres by 3.5. So it's there was some closeness to it last year, but I think it was pretty clear at that point the Brewers and Cardinals were both winning their divisions. We don't really have that this year.
Brewers and Phillies,
sorry. Yeah. You're right.
Yeah.
The Cardinals were 2 games over 500 in second. The Braves were obviously underwhelming with all their injuries and just not being the world beaters that they were in the 2023 regular season.
Yeah.
The Phillies also got off to a much better start, so it felt like they were closer, or they were farther apart from the rest of the competition. Same to with the Tigers to a degree, but
I went back to this date 2018. All 3 of the American League leaders
they were
in their
wrapped.
division were at 93% or higher. Well, Cleveland was at 99.9% on August 11th
Yeah,
to win the
every
division.
division well, how are the I love I'm looking at it right now. The Astros were 3.5 games ahead of the A's, who were surging at that time. I don't know if that was before or after that series that they played in Oakland in mid-August that the A's won, and like it felt like a big momentum swing. But yeah, they were 95.5% to 2.7% to win the division at that point with a
Yeah,
3.5 game lead.
because the playoff odds are a combination of like the outlook.
General expectations on paper, yeah.
Yeah, it's a combination of like where they're at now and also where Fangraphs projected them before the season. So I think the the projections for the Athletics
The
were very, very low.
the Cleveland was given a higher chance to win the World Series than the Red Sox, despite being almost 20 games worse.
That's crazy. Yeah, wow. Yeah, no.
Cleveland was given 15.3% odds to win the World Series with a 65-51 record. Meanwhile, the 84-35 Red Sox had a 13% chance. I'm guessing that's because like they were in a much tougher fight for their division, even though they were 9.5 games up. But like the Yankees were also world beaters that year, and they were in the same division, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mentioned that it sometimes has something to do with where their expectations were
Mm-hmm.
where the expectations were before the year, and we do forget like that year. Obviously, that was the year the Red Sox dominated. They won 108 games. They won the World Series in 5 games, but they were not division favorites that year.
Nope.
It was the Yankees. Yeah, on opening day, the Red Sox had a 39% chance to win the division. The Yankees had a 54% chance to win the division. And yeah, it was after like the Yankees had advanced further in the playoffs than the Red Sox did. They had a much younger core. Judge had just finished his rookie year. They had just added Giancarlo Stanton, who was the reigning MVP. So it looked like everything was coming up Yankees. And then yeah, the Red Sox had their dominant year. So that's probably what went into it.
I also often remember that the Dodgers almost lost the division to the Rockies on the last day that year.
Yeah, it was crazy. And I feel like the Rockies were ahead for a decent chunk of like the late portion of the year.
Well, the Dodgers were 10 games under 500 at one point in 2018.
Yeah, yeah, right. It was insane.
They
The
got off
fact,
to a really bad start and still finished with the not with the best record in the NL, but still won the division
right, right, right. And I think only 3 games behind Milwaukee for best record in the division. And
in the
yeah,
league.
that
Yeah.
or yeah, best record in the league. Yeah, the and what was funny about another funny thing about that postseason was like the the difference between having the top seed in the NL and being eliminated like a day from like 2 days later was that NL Central play-in game. Like
Yep.
the the Brewers won that game, and then they went on to, host the NLDS. They went 7 in the NLCS, and the Cubs lost that game, and then just lost the wild card game, and that was their season
Yeah.
as the second best team in the National League. What a
Yeah. In like 36 hours, they went from going for the division to eliminated completely
yeah,
in the wild card era, nonetheless.
yeah, pretty wild, pretty wild. But yeah, nonetheless, things are seem a lot more there seems to be a lot more contenders in 2025. And a team that was not really on our radars a month ago, maybe we were kind of putting them to bed, who's now back on our radars are the Cleveland Guardians, who have won 21 of their last 28. They currently sit, I believe, a half game back in the wild card race. What have you thought about just the performance and the resurgence of the Cleveland Guardians?
Yeah, I mean they started like this streak, at least the span that I decided to highlight for tonight started immediately after a 10-game losing streak that they had, from late June into early July. And since July 7th, they've, obviously played some tremendous ball. They are, after losing today to the White Sox, they are 21-8 over the last 29 games, which is the best record in the American League over that span. And since then, they have the lowest ground ball rate in the majors at 36%. And also, as a team, they've gone from pulling 29.8% of their fly balls, which is already very good. It was sixth highest, to 37.6% of their fly balls, which is the highest rate in the majors. Going into some individuals, Jose Ramirez has gone from pulling 45% of his fly balls before July 7th to 56% after. Angel Martinez has gone from pulling 38 to 52%. And also, it's Cleveland, so naturally we're gonna be talking about bullpen. Their 2.28 bullpen ERA, which some of that is without their closer, leads the league in the span. So, no Class A so far, no problem. Kate Smith has had it on lockdown, no problem.
Yeah, it's always a thing. No matter where the Guardians are at, they always seem to have a good bullpen. Yeah, in this span, their playoff odds have gone from 6% to 28%. Obviously, that's 28% isn't exactly where you want to be, but they have more than quadrupled their playoff odds since this span started. And yeah, and I think around this time when around that time when they had that 10 game losing streak, I highlighted their offense as slightly alarming. They had the worst OPS in baseball over, I believe, a 20 game stretch. And now it's not, their offense hasn't been astounding in this span, but it's been above average. They have a 107 weighted runs created plus in the span, largely, I imagine, due to the pulled fly ball rate and the lack of ground balls. That weighted runs created plus is 10th in all of baseball. And also, overall, they rank fourth in ERA and sixth in FIP heading into Sunday in the span. And as you mentioned, they lead all of baseball in bullpen ERA with a 2.28 in this span, at least heading into Sunday. Yeah, I mean, how has this all changed your perspective on what they look like, or their odds of maybe stealing a spot in the American League playoffs?
It's definitely possible. I mean, like, there's still a lot of time left, and obviously a lot of teams can cycle in and out of hot streaks in the next couple of months, but they are half a game out right now. They would have been in if they, didn't lose to the White Sox today, but they also are, 8-2 in their last 10, so it's hard to complain too much. I don't know. I'm still a little skeptical. Their starting rotation still doesn't wow me. I know that Gavin Williams, pitched very well in his last start. He almost threw a no-hitter. Joey Cantillo has been striking out a lot more guys. They've been managing without Luis Ortiz. Bibby's been, fine. Definitely not as bad as he was earlier in the season, but, they're kind of making it work in that rotation. The offense, I'm still kind of expecting more out of some guys like Angel Martinez. I mentioned hold air rate is like among the top 5 in baseball in any span that you can pick over the last like 2 months, and he hasn't really gotten hot yet. But I'm kind of waiting for him to start hitting for a little bit more power. But until then, I mean, this team is certainly rolling right now.
Yeah, they definitely are. But yeah, I would agree that there has to be some skepticism around them. It's so weird to see them and the Yankees back to back when, one of them we kind of considered a potential mid-tier team heading into the year, and the other we considered a potential playoff team. But yeah, no, the Yankees and Guardians are neck and neck right now. I can tell you one of the main differences is their Pythagorean win-loss. The Guardians, by that metric, have been getting quote unquote lucky. And I'm not one to evaluate really past performance on Pythagorean win-loss for teams. However, I think it can be useful in terms of outlooking what their future looks like. The Guardians have a 56 and 60 Pythagorean win-loss, or at least they did heading into Sunday, which was 5 games worse than their actual record. Well, the Yankees are kind of the opposite. I think their Pythagorean win-loss is 5 games better than their actual win-loss record. So, I think that's kind of it's kind of a thing to look out for. Like the Guardians have probably won a lot of one-run games or maybe gotten blown out more than they've blown other teams out. So, I guess that's something to look for because that can be a good predictor of future performance.
Yeah, absolutely. It is interesting that they've made the AL Central a race again, just because the Tigers and their bullpen especially just haven't really been able to get out of their own way.
Yeah, right, right. Yeah, the Tigers, I know they had a rough stretch at some point. And if you want to even include include stretches where they've done well. They were 59-34 at one point. Now I think they won today, so they're 68-51. So that would mean that um, they've gone 9-17 in their last 26 games. The Tigers have, so that's been pretty much during the span that the Guardians have been hot. So that's allowed the Guardians to close quite a gap. I imagine that, the Guardians had to have been, I know, at least double digits, but probably like 15 or 16 games back at the time of this stretch starting. And yeah, this has made it competitive. And the Tigers are, I didn't, even though I had them as a division winner, I didn't outlook them as a necessarily super dominant team or like, Dodger like or
Mhm.
Cubs like or Phillies like. I expected them to win how a lot of how a lot of AL Central teams win is just by not being bad or mediocre, I guess, being slightly above average. But so yeah, like I could, it wouldn't surprise me necessarily at this point in the year to see them to potentially lose it. So now we move on to another division in the American League, as the Astros had quality separation for a little bit there, but it is closed back up almost all the way as the Mariners are only a half game out of first place in the American League West. Mariners have won 9 of their last 10. What have you thought about what Seattle's been doing and how they've kind of climbed back into that race?
Yeah, I mean, they just polished off a quick 9-1 homestand um, against the Rangers, the White Sox, and the Rays. So not the greatest competition, but definitely not the worst either. I'm very impressed with. I mean, like it's cool to see a team that like nailed the trade deadline and they start playing exactly like that. Because like pretty comfortably, I think it was the consensus take that this team won the deadline. Getting Naylor, getting Suarez, Caleb Ferguson has been very helpful for them. He pitched a few outs today. Um, like I said this a couple pods ago, and I stand by it. This is the most complete team maybe in the league. Like maybe they don't have the highest upside of talent across the board when you compare them to something like the Dodgers, the Phillies, whomever, but there is not a weak spot on this team. They have a good 1 through 9. They have a good 1 through 5 in the rotation, and they have a good bullpen from the back end to the more middle reliever type guys. Like there is really not a hole on this team. They're playing as they should, and it's very they're fun to watch, man. Like this is a very enjoyable team. I'm having a lot of fun watching them.
Yeah, right. They're certainly more complete than they have been in the past. It seems like, and maybe that part of it is their team identity has almost flip-flopped, at least for the year as a whole. Like their team OPS plus is 111, their team ERA plus is 98 this year, but that's been partially due to injuries with guys like Logan Gilbert and George Kirby not getting the amount of innings they would have had they been healthy. Um, but uh, but yeah, like their team OPS plus this year is 111, and then they added Josh Naylor and Eugenio Suarez. Suarez hasn't quite gotten off to the best start in Seattle, but Naylor heading into today had a 144 OPS plus with Seattle alone, and then I believe he had a home run today as well, so that's going to go up. So yeah, I mean it is very encouraging to see a team go full buy at the deadline and get rewarded for it essentially, or at least happen to be winning right after it. I think it is probably mostly coincidental, but it is nice to see that from a morale standpoint. But yeah, I mean, just it seems like they're obviously getting as the cliche goes, getting hot at the right time, but it makes sense why they're doing well. Their rotation seems to be um where they predicted it would be at the beginning of the year with Gilbert and Kirby healthy, and Kirby and health and Gilbert and Kirby both performing well, especially on the underlying side. Like Gilbert has a FIP under 3, George Kirby has a 3.40 FIP, and yeah, the bullpen has done pretty well, at least it seems recently, with guys like Matt Brash absolutely dominating, guys like Andres Munoz absolutely dominating. So yeah, like
Even like Edward Bizardo has had a breakout year. Carlos Vargas has been solid when they've needed him. Gabe Spire.
yeah, Gabe Spire especially, he has a 2.50 FIP
Hmm.
this year, 11.9 strikeouts per nine, at least heading into Sunday. Yeah, I mean, like the only injury they have right now, or only like major injury they have right now is Bryce Miller, who
And he's coming
was
back.
yeah, he's coming back and he was their five.
Yeah.
So
And
their
Logan
big
Evans has been like completely fine in his spot.
yeah, right. He's
He has
been
like a 3.5-ish ERA right now, which is, FIP isn't quite there, but like it's exactly what you need out of a guy that's making fill-in starts for a mainstream starter as a rookie.
yeah, there he's serviceable for sure. And yeah, like Cal Raleigh slowed down a little bit, but he's
But
still
he's
hitting home
homered in three
runs.
straight games. I want to
Yeah,
talk about a couple guys on this team that are not like the mainstays. Obviously, when you think of this team, you think of the rotation, but you think of Julio and Cal, right? You think of Julio Rodriguez, who's been the trademark second half Julio since the All-Star break, and Cal Raleigh, who is a legitimate MVP candidate this year. I want to real quick talk about Cole Young, who is a second baseman on this team. He's a rookie. And like he's had a very interesting year so far. I'm not highlighting him as a how about that, but he's definitely worthy of it. He has a 168 weighted runs created plus since July 6th. He doesn't qualify in that span, but he has an OPS over 900. His walk rate went from 3.7% from May 31st through July 5th to 20.3% since July 6th. It went from 3.7% to 20.3%, the highest walk rate among the 234 hitters with at least 70 plate appearances since July 6th, entering today. Overall, since then, he's slashing 290, 436. He has a league leading 436 OBP among 70 plate appearance guys, 44 slug, 168 weighted runs created plus. Like he's filled a big gap that they've been hurting at second base for a while. I talked about Ryan Bliss earlier this year as a guy that was potentially looking to do something like that before he got injured for a while. Cole Young is like legitimately maybe should even like you could argue be the leadoff hitter at this point because a 20.3% walk rate, a 436 OBP. That's kind of exactly what you want setting up guys like Julio Rodriguez and Cal Raleigh.
yeah, right, absolutely. And yeah, as you mentioned, Julio Rodriguez has been kind of vintage second half Julio. In his previous 25 games heading into today, he had a 997 OPS. And then you also highlighted Randy Arozarena a couple weeks back, I believe. And he's kind of kept up. I mean, his OPS plus this year is 137. I thought for sure this year would be, example number 1 million of a guy going to Seattle and, fading
Mhm.
offensively. But that has not been the case for Randy Arozarena this year.
Yeah,
Which
I,
is
I I felt very pessimistic about him if you
mhm.
go back to what I said about him preseason, and I was wrong, like deeply, deeply wrong.
Right. Yeah, it's been interesting to see, offense be a highlight of this team when it seemed like the whole talk about them this past offseason was how poor their offense has been. And, granted, I mean, there's definitely been some improvement. I think JP Crawford is doing better than he was doing last year. Cal Raleigh is obviously doing a lot better than he was last year. Same with Rosarena. And then Julio Rodriguez is kind of on track with what he was doing last year offensively, but his defensive uh, performance has, I believe, improved as well. And then Jorge Polanco has made great improvements. Dominic Canzone, even in 51 games, has a
Yeah.
127 OPS plus. Um, just kind of guys in maybe not the biggest roles um, still are, doing well. Maybe didn't come in with the greatest expectations and are doing well. So yeah, it's I feel like in past year or maybe it was just last year. The previous years it was kind of the reverse, but last year, they had sole possession of first place in the AL West for a while.
They had like a
Um,
10-game lead.
yeah,
Yeah.
they had a 10 game lead, and it seemed like it was theirs to win. And they just lost it, and a lot of it was on them. It's not like the Astros necessarily dominated to win the division last year. They
Mhm.
only won 88 games. It just the Mariners kind of lost it. It's it's I guess refreshing to see this year the Mariners stay strong late into the season.
Uh, they haven't quite gotten Eugenio Suarez going yet since they acquired him back, via trade with the D-backs, but they have gotten Josh Naylor going. He's been terrific, a 142 weighted runs created plus since joining the team, and that's before he hit another home run today. Do you want to guess, Chris, and I hope you aren't looking this up or haven't at this point, but do you want to know what stat Josh Naylor leads the league in since being traded to the Mariners?
What stat he leads the league in?
Yeah.
Um, is it home runs?
No. What's the last stat you would see Josh Naylor leading the league in?
That's a good question.
Think basic, like real basic. I'm not talking about like, expected WOBA on contact.
Real basic. Is it rate or count?
It's count.
Count stat. Walks,
No.
hit or hits,
No. I'm the last thing you would expect him to lead the league in.
stolen bases.
Yeah.
Okay.
He has 11 steals since joining the Mariners in 14 games. No one else in that span has more than 6. Like, for some reason, Josh Naylor, who has third percentile sprint speed, 24.5 mile per hour average feet per second, is for some reason just the greatest base runner in the sport right now. He literally leads the league in BSR by exactly 1, actually. Yeah, he has 5 more steals than anybody else. For whatever reason, he's just going and nobody's getting him.
I should have guessed that because I do have in my notes that in this 10 game span, or at least 9 game span heading into today, the Mariners had stolen the most bases in baseball in that span.
Yeah, that's Josh Naylor.
No way would I have guessed that more than half of them have been from the feet of Josh Naylor, their first
He
baseman.
immediately to me is like, I don't care what happens the rest of the way. Like, he needs to be re-signed by this team in the offseason. Like, I think letting Suarez walk can be a little more forgivable. Like, they have, and he's not, he's not perfect. He's actually quite very far from it. But like, Ben Williamson's a good defensive third baseman. He's got a ways to go offensively, but he's a guy that they can feel optimistic enough to maybe develop in the next year before Colt Emerson is ready, before JP leaves, or well, before JP is up to leave, I should say. But you can get away with letting that third baseman slip there. Like, you need to have Josh Naylor at first next year. I don't care at this point. Like, it needs to happen.
Yeah, for sure. It would be nice. And he's
like he's fitting in with the vibes. He's like 853 OPS with the team so far, and that's before he homered today. So it's probably a lot closer to 900, if not already there. Yeah, he's stolen 11 bases in his last 14 games heading into today.
Yeah, and he's just an extremely consistent hitter. Whether that be like he's had years where he's had a really high batting average, he's had years where he's had a really high slugging percentage and maybe a lower batting average. Like, he can kind of adjust based on whatever's working. Yeah, so yeah,
he's also hitting at home. Like, most of his games with the Mariners have been at T-Mobile Park, and he's hitting there, which is huge green flag because obviously it's very difficult for hitters that go there, especially guys just coming over mid-season from a place like Arizona, to adjust, and he's done it just fine.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's certainly, I guess an anomaly. You don't often see that. But yeah, the Mariners have, as we mentioned earlier in the show, the Mariners actually have a higher shot at the division, or higher odds to
chance
win
at winning the division. Yeah, higher Fangraphs odds
than the Astros. I know in this 10 game stretch here, their odds have gone from 28% to 51% on Fangraphs, especially with the Astros losing Isaac Paredes for the year, and also them having probably a worse deadline, maybe not, not a bad deadline, but a worse deadline than the Mariners. How much sense does it make to you to see those odds the way they are right now?
I mean, with the rotation, it definitely makes sense. They are getting a lot of guys back this week. They have Christian Javier starting tomorrow. I believe they have Spencer Arrighetti starting on Tuesday. So that definitely, heightens their chances a little bit. But I like I said, I mean, I think the Mariners are the most complete team in the league. I think with half a game of separation, it really is just a toss up. Like the Astros are facing Garrett Crochet tomorrow, and if they lose that, it's the division is tied with about 6 weeks left, 7 weeks left. So it makes sense that there's a slight edge to the Mariners. I think I would take that roster right now over the Astros, uh, despite trends for the next 7 weeks.
Yeah, and
But like my only hang up is that it just simply is the Astros, and they
right.
always just seem to find a way. That's really my only hang up right now on that. But I'm looking at it on paper, and I'm taking the Mariners.
Yeah, I think the conversation is a lot different if you just take the uniforms off these guys and,
Mm-hmm.
have them as teams and, however that goes. By the way, if anyone's curious, I believe the Mariners and Astros are like number 24 and 25 with strength of schedule remaining, meaning like
Mm-hmm.
fifth or sixth and seventh easiest. So like there's not a disparity
Yeah,
in
no, I looked at both of their September schedules. It's really nothing crazy.
yeah, there's no disparity. There's
The
not a lot
only
of
like good
disparity in that.
teams they have, I know the Mariners have the Dodgers to end the season, but by that point, maybe the Dodgers have already clinched. Maybe they're not playing for anything, so who cares? Um, then they have the Astros in Houston. The last, it's like the second to last week of the season. And the Astros, it's pretty similar.
Right, right. Yeah. So yeah, it'll be fun to watch for sure. I mean, yeah, the Astros are certainly the old guard, and no matter how many guys they lose, it seems they always have a shot. Um, but yeah, the Mariners are coming off a great deadline, are hot right now.
Mhm.
And yeah, it seems momentum seems to be rolling their way, but that can always change. Anything more on the American League West?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think this week will be a big test for the Astros. They obviously have the Red Sox coming into Houston. Um, the vibes will be up for sure because it's Carlos Correa's return to Houston. They haven't played a home game since they traded for Carlos Correa. It's also the return of Alex Bregman, and obviously they have, Arrighetti and Javier coming off the IL. I think the way that they perform is going to be very indicative of how we view them going into the playoffs. I think my biggest question right now with the Astros, and I think everyone's biggest question is, what does that rotation look like behind Hunter Brown and behind Framber Valdez? Right now, you're relying off two guys coming off of lengthy injuries, and if they look like two guys coming off of lengthy injuries, then we might be a lot more concerned about this team than we are right now. If they are, if they're able to do it and are sufficient enough, then I think we have the same like potential Death Star that this team has been for a decade now.
Right, right. Absolutely. But so yeah, that's the American League West. A game that just finished that probably slightly altered the division we'll be covering next is um Cubs Cardinals just ended. The Cardinals just beat the Cubs, making the Cubs be 6 games behind the Milwaukee Brewers. And it hasn't really been the Cubs losing this division. It's been the Brewers just absolutely taking it. Um,
Yeah, I mean the Cubs have been playing like 500 ball for like a month or two now, but yeah, that should be enough to blow the lead that they did and to be so as far behind as they are.
yeah, I mean the Brewers have won, I believe I saw earlier,
34
33.
out of their last 43 and 28 and 24 of their last 28.
It's just
They're
unbelievable that
they're
pace.
so I have a couple of numbers here. The Brewers are 34-9 in their last 43 games. It's the best 43 game span in team history. Only the 2022 Dodgers have had such a 43 game run since 2019. Uh,
Yeah.
and then before that, it was the 2018 Red Sox.
Um, yeah, no, that's wild. That's wild.
Like they are on one of the best runs over take it, give or take a month and a half, maybe a little less than 2 months that we've seen since we were still in high school.
Yeah, I mean, what have you like what have you thought about all this?
I mean, I don't know, man. Like it still doesn't feel like, I mean, the stars of the team offensively are Andrew Vaughn and Isaac Collins, who hit a walk-off home run today. Shout out to him for that. Um, just the thing that I keep going to with the Brewers, and this they keep doing it, is hitting with runners in scoring position. Since July 6th, the span in which they've won 24 of 28, they are slashing 341, 399, 514 for a 913 OPS with runners in scoring position as an entire team, as a unit. That, for context, is a 154 weighted runs created plus. As a team, they have a 29% line drive rate with runners in scoring position, the fourth highest in the majors. And also, just for context, the 913 OPS, Kyle Stowers is at a 908 OPS. So imagine Kyle Stowers' season, that the Brewers with runners in scoring position in the last month plus are better than that.
Yeah, that's unreal. And yeah, that was something I talked about before the or yeah, in the season predictions episode, is something that I thought wasn't sustainable. They had a 328 BABIP with runners in scoring position last year. I believe they're on the pitching side, they were also pretty lucky with they were also had a low BABIP with runners in scoring position against them. So, a lot of the time BABIP with runners in scoring position can kind of greatly inflate or deflate a pitching staff or an offense's performance. So I figured, if they have normal luck or normal quote unquote luck, they would, regress as a team, score less runs, allow more runs, and win less games as a result. However, that whatever they have seems to be sustainable. It was high back in 2023, as I think you noted during the episode, and something that Effectively Wild also pointed out was it was high during 2023. It got higher in 2024. I think it went from 316 to 328, at least on offense. But this year it is at 326. They have a 326 BABIP with runners in scoring position this year. Their BABIP with runners in scoring position has been 315 or higher each of the last 3 years. That's kind of an anomaly. League average is around 295, and that's a luck stat. So I mean, if they're hitting line drives at a 29% rate, then I guess that's not really that much luck.
It's the fourth highest in the league.
Yeah, yeah.
Other teams are doing it more.
Yeah, no, it's wild. And I guess they do have one of the fastest teams in baseball, but yeah, there could be something there about approach and just kind of maybe focusing a little bit less on power, even if the slugging is high, but like just bat to ball skills and finding holes and stuff like that. Stuff that obviously kind of defies, BABIP luck or expected metrics and stuff like that. But still, it's pretty wacky that they're able to do that. And also their pitching has had that type of luck too. They have a 270 BABIP against with runners in scoring position. So yeah, that's a large part of it. If you like, context independent, they definitely would not be this dominant, but with context and how they've performed in high leverage situations, this is what they've done.
Yeah, I don't know. They just got something figured out over there.
Yeah. If it's been 3 years in a row, then it's like, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, that's pretty crazy. 3 times, there might be something going on there.
Yeah, to be clear, not accusing them of cheating, but like, I don't know. They just got something going on.
Yeah, no, it's pretty wild. Yeah, I don't even know. Yeah, I don't even know if it would be cheating or some gamesmanship going on.
Oh, if there's a runner on second, which runners in scoring position usually implies.
Yeah, well, as long as it's just coming from on the field and not
not cheating.
Then that's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, if there's something going on in the dugout, then yeah, that would be
no, I don't think they're doing that.
That would be wrong. Also,
it'd be crazy if they've been doing it for 3 years and they haven't been caught yet, especially because after 2019, they basically made it so there has to be like a guard in like the in-between area of like the clubhouse and the dugout, which is where the Astros and the Red Sox were doing all their stuff. So if they figured out a way around that and it stuck for 3 years, then honestly, like, props to them.
Yeah, it makes sense. But yeah, it's like I guess regarding the Brewers and part of why their success is what it is outside of the runners in scoring position stuff, because yeah, they don't have a dominant um lineup with a
Mhm.
crazy bunch of sluggers, and they don't really have a dominant pitching staff that's striking a ton of batters out outside of Mizorowski. Um, but when you look at BSR wise, it's them and they are in their own league in terms of base
Yep.
running runs. They're at 13.5. The next highest in base running runs is the Tampa Bay Rays at 8.2. They clear the Rays by 5.3 BSR. And then defensively, they have the second most outs above average in baseball, which obviously helps out the pitchers. It makes it so not having a ton of strikeout pitchers isn't that much of a problem. Um, yeah, it seems like they don't really make a whole lot of outs on the bases. I'm going to the base running statistics on Baseball Reference to see what exactly it is, because the um Brewers don't lead in stolen bases. They're second.
Hmm.
So I'm wondering like what's making them go above and beyond there.
It's probably extra base taken, maybe stolen base efficiency.
Yeah, in weighted stolen bases, they only rank eighth, so that's also strange. And then extra base taken rate, they on Baseball Reference, I think that's sixth that they rank in.
Could
And
just be like volume then.
yeah, maybe. I don't know.
That
Or
would be
just
my guess.
probably a combination of everything. They've also made the looks like one, two, three, four, five, sixth fewest outs on the bases. So that's probably part of it as well. Might just be a combination of everything.
Yeah.
Um, maybe the teams that have stolen a lot have also gotten caught a lot. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, BSR wise, they are the highest, or they do rank the highest, and they're also one of the best defensive teams. So even if they don't have the most powerful lineup or the most dominant pitching staff, that's why they've kind of ended up fine there.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's been fascinating, legitimately fascinating.
Yeah, and not to, I guess, damper on it, but I still don't really have much enthusiasm about watching them in the playoffs this year.
They need to, I mean, they can convince me for sure.
I'm
I think it's a division thing, not a team thing. Like the NL Central hasn't won a playoff series since 2019.
Yeah,
Like I
well,
need to be, I can certainly be won over 100%.
but three of those division winners have been the Brewers.
You're right.
So
You're right.
that's why it does seem like a team thing for me.
Okay.
Like I've watched them I've watched them fall flat on their face in this first series too many times, and I'd like it to change. I always usually root for the team with the longest drought, and the Brewers have never won a World Series in history in their franchise history.
That's
So I'd love
correct.
to see them win. It's just the faith is not all the way there. Um, but I hope to be proven wrong.
Would be
Um,
fun for sure.
it would be a lot of fun. I mean, that 2018 team was a lot of fun. Um, but yeah, anything more on the Brewers?
No, I don't think so. I mean, they've just been crazy.
Yeah, I guess the last thing I'll say with talking about the Cubs, like I know they're um they were I should see where their biggest lead was. Excuse me. They were up they were up 5 games or they were up 4 games in the division as late as July 5th. Um and or July 6th, actually, excuse me. Um, and what have they gone? They've gone 13 and they've gone 13 and 16 since then. So it's been a 9 game change in the division, despite them kind of treading water, I guess. Um, so I can't really put it to them
The
like blowing
Cubs
this
had
because
a an 80.3% chance of winning the division on June 17th. It's now at 22%. The Brewers had as low as I'm seeing 5.1% odds in late May. They're now up to 77.9%. That's before today when they won and the Cubs lost.
Yeah. So yeah, since July 6th, they are 13 yeah, 13 and 5 or no. Yeah, 13 and 14. Excuse me. Yeah, 13 and 14. So they are below 500 in this
Mhm.
span since they were up 4 games, but even if they were, I think 4 or 5 games above 500 in this stretch, they would also be losing the division right now. That's how
Right.
good the Brewers have been doing.
Yeah, it's
Um,
crazy.
so it's like I know the Cubs have faced the Brewers in this span, so they could have helped their case out a little bit, but it would have been hard either way. Um, but yeah, Brewers have been crazy. On to but our final little race probably before we
Yeah.
get into players to highlight. The National League East slash wild card. The most significant team in terms of recent trends has been the New York Mets. They've lost 11 out of 12, including today, which was a heartbreaker. Blew lead late, got walked off by those Brewers we just mentioned. In this span, their division odds have gone from 55% to 10%. What have you thought about the Mets and just kind of how they've almost taken themselves out of the NL East race?
Yeah, it's been just like a stunning downfall. And like I think it's kind of the offense. Like I feel like everywhere I look, there's a guy in the lineup that's underperforming. It was Juan Soto for a bit, but he did do pretty well this weekend in Milwaukee. Like Lindor, I recently highlighted as a slightly alarming. Brandon Nimmo's been tough offensively. I'm sure you have some notes and some numbers on them, so I'll let you get into that though.
Yeah. As a team, in this span heading into Sunday, they had the lowest batting average, slugging percentage, and OPS. I will say, I think, they've definitely run into some poor luck here, and I'm sure that's a lot of the reason why they've lost so many games. They have the lowest BABIP in baseball in this span heading into Sunday. That BABIP was 225 across an 11 game sample as a whole team. So that's obviously rough luck. League average BABIP is usually in the 290s. And they've also had the unluckiest differences in batting average and expected batting average, slugging and expected slugging, and WOBA and expected WOBA. So yeah, their offense has definitely been an issue, but it hasn't all been completely their fault. It seems like they've run into some poor luck, either maybe hitting some hard line drives um, that have been caught, or just disproportionately getting out on ground balls and fly balls. But yeah, they've been it's offense has been an issue. It's been lack of runs. But they've kind of run into the unfortunate nature of baseball almost in that respect.
Yeah, since June 13th, and that's a near 2 month span at this point, they are 24th in position player F4 at 4.1. That's not good for a whole team. Like they're down there with the White Sox are only half a win worse. Like the Angels are better, the Royals are better. Um, and I mean, yeah, there's just no one that's really fully standing out right now. Like Soto's been their best hitter for sure. It's a 148 weighted runs created plus over the last 2 months, but even then, you kind of expect a little more from Juan Soto, especially when you account for the bad defense. It's only a 1.4 F4 in that span, and that leads the team. So, I mean, yeah, no one's really been kind of leading the pack on this team. Francisco Lindor, it's a 75 weighted runs created plus in this span. Like it's not good.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And yeah, looking at what they've done at Lindor is especially alarming because his BABIP in this span, um, heading into Sunday was 296.
Mm-hmm.
So it hasn't been BABIP for him. His strikeout rate has been pretty bad, and I don't know if he's hit any home or maybe he's hit one home run in the span. Yeah, he's hit one home run in the span. Um, not a lot of extra base hits, not a lot of contact from him. But Pete Alonso has a 161 BABIP in this span, unfortunately. He's slugging 537, but only getting on base at a 261 clip, and I imagine a large part of that is is the BABIP, unfortunately. Like he's had 4 homers, he's gotten on base that way, but hasn't been able to get on base via like single or double, which can sometimes be a lack of luck. Juan Soto's got a 217 BABIP in the span as well. And yeah, just generally speaking, the team has a 225 BABIP. So yeah, just the ball's not really bouncing their way. Um, I'm sure they can improve in some areas, but I think you just got to be patient with them a little bit too.
I think I mean the pitching isn't much better, by the way. It's they rank 28th out of 30 teams in total pitcher F4 at 1.7, I believe it is. They only are ahead of the Nationals and the Rockies, and everyone else is better than them. Kodai Senga, I think, is like still like something. He's made 5 starts since coming off the IL, and since then, like it just hasn't been good. The walks have been an issue. He's giving up a lot. He's given up 5 home runs in his last 5 starts. That's not exactly that's not exactly what you expect from him. The walks, I can't even like. I'm trying to do some quick math right now. Let's see. 5 plus 8 is 13. 15 walks in his last 5 starts. That's one of it. But then there's also like a couple other guys they've been giving starts to that just haven't been quite carrying the weight.
Hmm.
Like Holmes has had a 4.64 ERA in the last 2 months. That's largely it, I guess. Peterson's been fine. Montas hasn't been too great. Montas has actually been quite terrible. It's a 6.38 ERA over the last couple of months. Yeah, like it's just not. Edwin Diaz was leading all Mets pitchers in F4 since June 13th, which is not great if your closer's leading in F4, but he did give up a home run today, so that will not last. Now it's a tie between David Peterson and Reed Garrett.
Right, right. Yeah, it's been, to lose 11 out of 12, it's hard to have one aspect of your team really excelling during that. Usually all things kind of have to go awry. And yeah, pitching has definitely been a negative. But yeah, I mean, final thing I have with the kind of lack of luck thing, the Mets have had 11 hitters see 50 plus pitches in the span heading into Sunday, and only one of those hitters are performing above their expected batting average. Brandon Nimmo is hitting 146 with exactly a 146 expected batting average. But like Francisco Alvarez is the worst example. He's hitting 208 with a 307 expected batting average. Ronnie Mauricio is hitting 091 with a 187 expected batting average. Starling Marte is hitting 143 with a 226 expected batting average. Newly acquired Cedric Mullins. Well, actually, some of those numbers are with the Orioles, so I won't count it. But Pete Alonso hitting 220 with a 284 expected batting average. Juan Soto 216 with a 276 expected batting average. Most of their lineup is getting unlucky, unfortunately. So I guess what I'm trying to say to Mets fans is not to push the panic button, because some of this is just the ball is not bouncing your way at this point, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's just gonna have to start doing it soon because they are only a game and a half up in a playoff spot right now with the Cincinnati Reds on their tail.
Yeah, yeah. Luckily for them, the Reds have the hardest strength of schedule remaining,
Congrats.
according to Tankathon. So, that's, I guess, a good sign for the Mets. But yeah, only a game and a half up when, a playoff spot seemed like a guarantee, 2 weeks ago. And they weren't really focused on wild cards. They were focused on winning the division. And now that seems almost out of sight. It's not completely out of sight, but it's their main focus right now is staying in the playoff race.
Yeah, which is definitely not where you want it to be preseason at this time, but gotta get in, right? That's the whole thing. They were the 6th seed last year,
Yeah, yeah,
and
but
they gave the Dodgers the best. The Padres gave the Dodgers the best run of anyone they faced this year, but the Mets fought pretty hard.
they did. Um, but yeah, I know Nico Fastel is watching closely because
Yeah,
his first round bold prediction was the Mets not making the playoffs, which there was.
I would rather just lose that game than none of us get anything right. Like that is a real possibility, and I don't want it.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. I should, as you say that, I should see where the Giants are at home run wise.
That is a good question.
Because that's like the only okay, Willie Thomas has 18.
Oh no.
That's not yeah,
You should have said
he's
25, but it's not really that bold then, is it? I
um
just need I need Roki Sasaki to make one more start and throw four more splitters.
yeah, I mean, yeah, the Angels are comfortably ahead of the White Sox. So that's one
The
that
Commodores did not make the playoffs.
yeah, no one on the Yankees has been released or DFA'd or
Yeah.
sent down for beard grooming
Yeah, although to be fair,
controversy.
there is a player that does have a beard that might be a DFA'd, although it's definitely not for any beard related reasons.
Yeah, I see for sure. Catch your uh catch your drift.
Yeah,
But yeah, no one's going 60-60 this year either. Um,
yeah,
it
no.
appears, unless Cal Raleigh wants to steal 47 more bases
Shohei
this year.
Ohtani's on a run right now. He's got to hit 16 more home runs between the regular season and playoffs to tie Ibe Mizuhara's prison sentence.
Aha, aha.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I
that
guess
would be a good
that
one.
one has a little bit of motion right now. I think he homered like every day this weekend. He's up to 41
Wow.
now. Yeah.
Wow, very nice. Very nice.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I think there's going to be an AL pitcher that throws 180 innings. And
Yeah, where are we at with
um
that right now?
I think both Cy Young winners will qualify for the ERA title as well.
If
Those are all the ones I remember.
The Red Sox just keep like skipping some crochet starts and giving him more time, and he just goes out and does a perfect game every game. You might have a chance there.
Yeah,
Although to be
friggin'
fair, he's only
Crochet
well,
was
and
not the
actually
guy.
he's only 12 innings away, so no, you're not.
Crochet was not the guy I was banking on, you know,
Doing that.
leading the AL in innings
No,
or even or even throwing 180 innings this year, but he's just been an
he
absolute
might throw
workhorse.
200.
Like Framber Valdez, I expected up there. Garrett
Are we?
Crochet, I
Where are
don't
we
know.
at with like nobody hitting 200 innings? Watch, like we could be kind of close.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
Crochet leads the Major League Baseball in innings. He's at 148. He's got if there's 7 weeks left, you figure there's like what? How many starts he made this season? 23. So you figure he's got nine more starts. Doing some more quick math here. 52 divided by 9. You have to average 5.7 innings a start. So in essence, 5 and 2/3. Which
Well, right now I think the Red Sox have played 119 games.
mhm.
Um, so right now he's on pace for 202.
Dude, it's possible. It's
It's
possible
very
we get there.
possible.
Like I think we're past like, oh, nobody throws 200 innings this year being a bold prediction. Like we've been very clearly trending there for a while. And like we've gotten closer and closer each year. I think what nobody threw more than 208 last year. It was yeah, nobody threw more than
Probably.
208 and 2/3, and only four guys did it, and one of them was Zach Wheeler with 200 on the dot.
Yeah, part of the reason I didn't say 200 was because literally in 2021, no American League pitcher threw 200 innings.
Yeah,
Like Robbie Ray led with 194 and a third, I believe. Um, so yeah.
yeah, no, that's fair. Zach Wheeler
Um,
definitely did that year,
oh
along
yeah,
with
the NL had a
along with
couple
Walker
guys.
Bueller. Throw back to when Walker Bueller could throw 208 innings a year.
Yeah, yeah, he didn't, walk everybody.
Yeah, and then
Um,
also shout out to 39-year-old Adam Wainwright for doing it too.
oh yeah, the inaugural snowballer of the year.
Yeah,
Um, he did it that year.
he did it.
Um, he did it. I'll have to dig back up those award shows and find the all-time winners of
Do
snowballer of
like
the
an
year because
archive of sorts. Yeah,
I know Wainwright,
Stroman I think
Wainwright,
won it
Cortez,
once.
yeah, Cortez and Stroman have won it. I forget who won last year.
Maybe like Lugo.
I'm not
Feel like
sure, but
that would make sense.
Or actually, I think I have it on this Google Doc. Um,
I don't know. I think Lugo would make sense, right?
I feel like he throws
He
hard
throws it.
enough.
Yeah, he's not like total. He's not like Wainwright levels.
Yeah,
His four seamer is 91.8.
that could qualify,
That
especially
definitely could.
the standard gets like lower and lower for
Yeah, it does.
like you don't have to do.
Well, I guess higher technically, right?
Yes.
In
But yeah,
terms of velocity.
last year I did a reliever. I did Tyler Holton.
Okay. That's honestly that's fair. I like that one.
He did throw a 94
He
in
had
there.
he had like kind of a starter's workload as a reliever by reliever standards.
Yeah, pretty. Oh yeah.
He
Yeah.
threw like what, like 90 innings as a reliever last year.
He threw 94 and a
Yeah.
third.
Yeah.
And was 17th percentile in fastball velocity, put up a 2.19 ERA and 2.75 expected ERA. Yeah, he was sick. And then I put Ranger Suarez as honorable mention. Um, but yeah,
I'm
but
still kind of hung up on the fact that we randomly had 58 qualifying starters last year after we've been in like the low 40s for a while. And we just kind of jumped to 58 randomly.
it was the influence of the old school 2023
Like
Rangers
even
who
2020, well, I guess.
definitely
Yeah. Yeah, right, right.
the 2023 Rangers who definitely had their starters go long because it was the old school mentality and definitely not because they had like the fifth worst bullpen in all of baseball.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's still analytical if your bullpen just sucks and you don't want to throw it out there.
Hmm.
If you don't want, I was randomly thinking about this and I wondered where he was at. I think he's recovering from an injury, but Josh Spores has to be one of the most random
Less
closer
out
out.
of the World Series guys ever.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
got to be one of the most random.
I mean, like, at least Mike Montgomery just happened to fall on circumstances where it had to be him.
Yeah.
And that bullpen wasn't even that good either. But it was the 10th inning, it was post rain delay. Like it was a bunch of weirdness had to happen for it to get to Mike Montgomery. And they bypassed a lot of more valid options because it was a close game and you needed to get those outs. Josh Spores literally just was the guy. Like they were up 5-1 in that game, I think it was. Or no, it was nothing. They didn't. I know the Diamondbacks didn't score in that game.
Yeah, it was 5-0.
Perfectly normal save situation.
Like their bullpen was not taxed from that day, I know, because Eovaldi went.
No.
Was it Eovaldi who pitched that game?
Game would have been game 5,
5?
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Because Eovaldi went pretty long. I know we went at least 6.
I'm probably the only person that ever brings this up, but like, I like Zach Gallen had a no hitter going through 6 in that game, and I remember my dad listens to this show, and he will confirm that I told him in the bottom of the 6th inning when the Diamondbacks were hitting me saying, "Yeah, I would take Gallen out right now." Third time through, second time in the series, and he went on to give up a run, and there was complete radio silence from all the Kevin Cash took out Blake Snell too early people. I'm like, well, what's up? This guy was throwing a no hitter. You brought him out to face the lineup a third time, and he blew the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, what's up? Well, are we gonna talk? And nobody has ever said. I think I'm literally the only person that brings that up in the year 2025.
No, it's true. It's 100% true.
I'm the only one.
Yeah, you're the only person I've heard. I haven't heard any
Literally nobody, like no one on Twitter was even talking about it. Like I remember making a tweet being like somewhere Kevin Cash is laughing. It's like no one else was talking about Kevin Cash at that time except for me. Like where are all the people that were all freaked out when Kevin Cash took out dealing Blake Snell to like Callan was literally throwing a no hitter. Like how can you be more dealing?
Yeah, right.
Literal definition.
Yeah, exactly. Um no, it's funny. Funny how the world works. Um but so yeah, anything more before we get into players to highlight?
Let's talk some players.
All right, now we will get into we'll start with the lows, we end with the highs, and we will start with our Sunday, August 11, 2025 edition of Slightly Alarming Statistics. He's been barreling up the ball way less.
He's not missing bats. He's not getting the ball on the ground, and people are hitting it in the air more.
It's been so bad. He is getting a
Slightly alarming.
August 10, excuse me.
Yeah. So this guy is you may have heard about his struggles. They've been talked about throughout some of the baseball sphere. He was alluded to earlier, but not directly mentioned. I'm talking about Devin Williams, who has obviously struggled quite mightily for the Yankees. He did pitch today and struck out the side, so all of these numbers are actually a lot. Well, they're not a lot. They're a little bit better than what I will be presenting. But in the second half of the season, he is rocking a 10.38 ERA, an 8.53 FIP, and minus 0.6 FWAR. Among the 205 qualifying relievers in the span, he ranks fifth worst in ERA, fourth worst in FIP, tied for the third worst in home runs per nine, which is a 4.15 home runs per nine in 8 2/3 innings. And he is also second worst among all relievers in FWAR, regardless of if they qualify or not. So, I mean, one of the worst pitchers in the league in the second half, and it's the guy that I think MLB Network had as a number one reliever. I want to say we had him number two.
I had him one.
You had him one. Okay.
Yeah.
Throughout the span, 41.8% of all pitches thrown by Devin Williams have been in the strike zone. Again, 41.8% in zone rate. That's very low. It is the fifth lowest among the 238 pitchers with at least 150 pitches thrown in the second half. So he is not finding the zone, but when he is finding it, 18.2% of plate appearances ending on his airbender, his change, have been barreled. That's a, again, 18% barrel rate against his changeup, which is practically unheard of, given how dominant that pitch has been over the last half decade. But it's the third highest barrel rate against among the 96 pitchers with at least 10 plate appearances ending on changeups in the second half. In this span, opponents are hitting 333, they are slugging 932, and they have a 541 WOBA against his changeup. Among the 63 pitchers with at least 50 changeups thrown, he ranks tied for seventh in average against, third worst in slugging, third worst in WOBA, third worst in run value per 100 at minus 4.7. And the whiff rate against his changeup has also gone from 36.8% before the span to just 29.5% in this span, which is actually 2% below the league average at 31%. So Devin Williams is, you don't need me to tell you that he's doing bad. I think anyone with eyes sees it. But there's some added context there. He's not finding the zone, or he's staying too much in the zone and, getting rocked. He's given up 4 home runs in the second half, all of which have come against his changeup. And for that reason, he is, of course, getting a slightly alarming.
Yes, Devin Williams.
Alarming.
Yeah, you mentioned the ranking. I actually like if there was like a freezing cold take you could have of me, it's me not just ranking him number one, because I don't think that that a lot of people had that, but my reasoning for why I had him number one, I think I said I could easily see relievers having a better year than him. That's happened before, obviously. But I know that Devin Williams is going to be good this year. He's consistent. He puts up great numbers every single year. I know he's going to be good, so that's why I'm putting him number one. And yeah, that has not been the case this year, especially to his standard. I think his career high ERA up to this point was 2.50, and now it is way above 5, which is pretty crazy. And peripherally, he is also significantly worse this year. But my slightly alarming is someone who still overall is having a really, really good year. If the season ended today and he had his rate numbers, we'd be like, wow, very good year. But as of late, it has not been very good. And I'm talking about the newly acquired Mariner, Eugenio Suarez, who this span will cover also some of his Diamondbacks days. But in his last 17 games, including today, he is hitting 111 with a 361 OPS. Out of 176 qualified hitters in this span heading into Sunday, he had the fourth worst slugging and the worst average batting average, on base percentage, and OPS. Out of 179 hitters to see 200 plus pitches in the span heading into Sunday, he had the second worst expected slugging and the worst expected batting average and worst expected weighted on base average. His part of this has to do with him making less contact. His strikeout rate has gone from 26% before the span to 39% in this span, including today. Out of 176 qualified hitters heading into Sunday, his strikeout rate was the fourth highest. Also, his whiff rate had gone from 31% to 48%. Out of 179 hitters heading into Sunday, Suarez had the highest whiff rate. He has also been hitting the ball softer, along with making less contact. His contact has also gotten worse. His average exit velocity has gone from 91.3 miles per hour to 86.3 miles per hour. His line drive rate had also gone from 20% to 11%. And out of 262 hitters with 25 plus batted balls heading into Sunday, Suarez's line drive rate was the 9th lowest. Also, his rate of fly balls being pulled had also gone from 41% to 33%. That's kind of where he makes his bones, and it's still very above average, but it has declined in this span. So yeah, Eugenio Suarez, after having an OPS in the 900s, has slowed down over the past few weeks, and he is getting a whoops.
Alarming.
Yeah.
Alarming.
That's kind of the risk you take with Eugenio Suarez. He's either pulling the ball in the air at incredible rates, or he's one of the worst hitters in the league.
Yeah, and even as one of the worst hitters in the league, he's still pulling the ball very well.
He has a pulled air rate of 16.7%, which is league average.
Well,
since August 1st, at least.
Yeah, part of that probably has to do with his low line drive rate. Like the rate of fly balls being pulled
5.6%, yeah.
Yeah, the rate of fly balls being pulled is 33% in the span that I chose. Maybe it's worse in the August 1st span.
I just chose Cincy. I just quickly looked at since he joined the Mariners, because that's obviously when I believe when I added him to my F4 team.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, now we shall go from the lows to the highs, where we are talking players or subjects that have been outperforming expectations with our Sunday, August 10, 2025 edition of How About That.
He's striking out less, walking more, and he's also making better contact.
Turning into a strikeout machine just out of nowhere.
He's been excellent all around this year.
And he is getting a...
How about that?
Yeah, I mean, this one was a no-brainer for me. I thought about doing this one like a month ago, but I opted not to just because there's someone else that was more appealing. I kind of forgot about it, and I mean, he's made it undeniable at this point. And to top it all off, a walk-off home run today. I'm talking about Isaac Collins from the Brewers, who I mentioned quickly earlier, who is, I think, right now the overwhelming frontrunner for National League Rookie of the Year. He is leading the National League in F4 since June 4th. But I want to start with this. And if you were to take 100 of the most diehard of baseball fans, people to the degree of Chris and myself, and you ask them, hey, did you know there is a separate minor league portion of the Rule 5 draft? I think you're going to get more no's than yeses. I did not know this until I attended the Rule 5 draft in this past winter. Chris, did you know that there was a separate minor league portion specific to the Rule 5 draft?
No.
No. We talk about how, rare it is, or just how much of a story it is when a person taken in the Major League Rule 5 draft comes up and produces for a team. Isaac Collins was a minor league Rule 5 pick. He was taken as a minor leaguer, transferred to another minor league system without the expectation of being added to a 40-man roster. And this is where we're at with him. It is genuinely incredible. Since June 4th, he is slashing 331, 435, 513 for a 947 OPS, a 170 weighted runs created plus, and 2.5 F4. And again, all of that is before hitting a walk-off home run today. Among the 162 qualifiers in that span, he ranks second in batting average, first in on-base percentage, 8th in OPS, 3rd in weighted runs created plus, and tied for 3rd in FWAR. And this is something that I build up to, but I'm just going to lead with it. Before the span, Isaac Collins had pulled 11.8% of his fly balls. In the span, he is pulling 46.7% of his fly balls, the 9th highest rate among the 226 hitters with at least 25 fly balls since June 4th. 17.6% of his fly balls before the span have been barreled, and that rate is up to 26.7% in the span. It's about a 9% increase. Overall, 20% of his fly balls since June 4th have been both pulled and barreled. That is tied for the 7th highest rate on the aforementioned list of 226. And that's obviously, a clear road to success. Throughout the span, 79.8% of total swings taken by Collins have come against pitches in the strike zone. He's making fantastic swing decisions. It's the 5th highest rate among the 190 hitters with at least 300 swings total in this span. His 18.8% chase rate is also the 9th lowest among the 192 hitters to see at least 300 pitches in the strike zone. His average exit velocity on ground balls has gone from 79.1 miles per hour, which was previously the 15th lowest among the 323 hitters with at least 25 ground balls before the span, up to 88.1 miles per hour, a 9 mile per hour increase in average exit velocity on ground balls. And as a result of that, he has gone from hitting 273 on ground balls before the span to 347 in the span. I talk about the pulled fly balls, I talk about the home runs. That doesn't explain his 416 BABIP in the span, and it's a high line drive rate, and it's a much higher average exit velocity on ground balls. So Isaac Collins has kind of very quietly taken the league by storm, at least if you're like a diehard. If you're a casual, I'm almost certain you've never heard of him, but he is essentially the guy leading the best team in the league, and really no one knows who he is, and for that reason, he's getting a probably overdue how about that.
Yes, Isaac Collins.
How about that?
So yeah, he very well could win Rookie of the Year and very well could be a front runner at this point in the year. My how about that is another team from the Midwest. This guy actually, like, if you looked at his career OPS plus entering this year, you probably would think he's outdone his how about that status, but he hasn't played a lot of major league games heading into this year, and also his name is not very far out there, but he's been dominating as of late. And I'm talking about Matt Wallner of the Minnesota Twins. He actually had a career 133 OPS plus heading into this year. So that's why I say maybe almost not eligible, but I think namesake wise, he's worth talking about.
Definitely namesake wise. Shout out to one of my hits from last year.
Yes, indeed. In his last 17 games, he is hitting 264 with a 1091 OPS. Out of 177 qualified hitters in the span heading into Sunday, his slugging and OPS ranked 6th. Out of 138 hitters to see 250 plus pitches in the span heading into Sunday, his expected slugging ranked 4th and expected WOBA ranked 5th. His strikeout rate has gone from 31% before the span to 21% in this span. A lot of that has to do with just the firm contact numbers. His whiff rate has gone from 40% to 27%. And his walk rate has gone from 10% before the span to 19% in this span. I think that's largely due to him extending more at bats with that lower whiff rate. And out of 177 qualified hitters heading into Sunday, his walk rate was 4th highest. On the batted ball front, his fly ball rate has gone from 30% to 35%. His barrel rate has gone from 14% to 20%, and his pop-up rate has gone from 14% to 10%. And out of I mentioned that barrel rate being 20%. Out of 138 hitters heading into Sunday, his barrel rate ranked 6th. And yeah, Matt Wallner has been tremendous, and he's on paternity leave. I don't know if he's a new dad or if he's having just an additional child, but congratulations nonetheless. He's been performing well, but along with that, he's been performing well on the field. So he is getting a
How about that?
all right. So that shall do it for players to highlight. Any final words?
Shout out to our guy Matt Brash for 2 saves over the weekend, 1, 2, 3 inning in each, striking out the side in Friday's game. Yeah, it's electric over there, as he said post game today, and yeah, very cool to see him take some brief reps in the closer role.
Right. Shout out to
Friend of the
ARR,
program.
two-time ARR alumni.
Well, one-time ARR alumni technically.
Yeah, one-time STBNL
Yeah.
alumni.
The only
For-
guest we've ever had
yeah.
on both STBNL and ARR.
That's pretty hilarious.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had him on our little college radio show when he was in the Padres minor league system pre-COVID. Pretty crazy.
Pre-COVID. Yeah.
Pre-COVID. Yeah, go check out episode 334 if you want to see our most recent interview with him. But yeah, that shall do it for this installment of Above Replacement Radio. If you are listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, go to the YouTube channel. It is called Above Replacement Radio. Check out the guest interviews playlist where we have Matt Brash, as well as many other esteemed guests like Jeff Passan, Chris Rose, Sarah Langs, Mike Petriello, Foolish Bailey, among many others. Mark Simon 4 times as well. And yeah, feel free to check out all the videos on the YouTube channel, including some of the video essays on there. Also follow us on social media. Follow me on Twitter at Chris_Gianta. Follow Daniel on both Twitter and Instagram at Daniel_Curran, and follow the show Instagram at Above Replacement Radio for all the show needs. We hope you enjoyed this one, and we hope to see you next time, where we will be talking all the happenings in Major League Baseball. Once again, see you then.
This conversation is over.